a lot of steps. How's everything going? Good? Alright. Well, Wesley Chan is one of the co-founders of Wong Fu Productions located in Pasadena, California. At the age of 8, Mr. Chan wanted to be a paleontologist, as well as a dragonfly when he grew up. When he entered the University of California, San Diego, he pursued the career of animations. This changed after meeting Philip, Wang, and Ted Fu. Now him and his Wong Fu team produce music videos, short films, and YouTube content, sharing stories about Asian and Asian Americans. With great hopes, we present to you Wesley Chan, keynote speaker of the 7th Annual Asian Heritage Celebration Dinner.
You guys are ahead of schedule. That never happened, so I was expecting like a little bit more time to make a better entrance. But you guys are so on top of it that I'm here early, so I have to kind of adjust myself. But thank you so much. How's dinner? It's good. This is by far like the most beautiful and extravagant event that we've done this spring. So Wong Fu Productions, we've been going around this year, actually for the last 10 years, speaking at universities about our story, about why we make content, how we got started. And this time, I'm here doing this by myself, but usually we have me and my other co-founder, Phil, and we kind of do a Q&A, but this time I'm going to be interrupting your guys' beautiful dinner, so that's okay. And just getting my breath back. First off, I just want to thank everyone. Thanks IUPUI and thanks ASU for having me. This has been really amazing already. I watched the video and some of the performances and really touching stuff. First off, I'm going to keep it very casual because I'm not the best speaker, so that's okay with you guys. This won't be like a very formal keynote, but I like to make it a little more interactive. So who here knows about Wong Fu Productions? Who knows? Awesome, that's great. Better question, who doesn't know? And that's totally okay, because that's who I want to talk to actually. Great, that's very important. And thanks for the introduction, that's really good. But yeah, so Wong Fu Productions is a digital content creation company. I guess you can call it that. We make shorts on YouTube. And that might sound silly, it might sound, well, how do you know how to make a job out of that? How does that make any kind of difference? But in order to understand how that makes a big difference and how that reaches people, it's important to talk about the context of how we started. So back in 2003, back before YouTube was created, can you guys remember a time before YouTube? Dark days. There were days you had nothing to procrastinate with during finals, right? So in those days, I met Phil and Ted at UC San Diego, and we enjoyed making videos. Our friends would play video games. Some people play, IM sports. We liked making videos. We liked telling stories and turning jokes and conversations into little video clips and sharing them online. And this was before YouTube was created, so what would happen is we'd upload it to a server, and people would have to download the clip, and they'd actually own the clip on their own desktop. I know this sounds very archaic because streaming video wasn't a thing yet. That kind of puts into context how long ago this was. And when we first started, we just enjoyed doing it. We thought it was fun. It wasn't our first thought wasn't to break barriers. It was, this is fun, let's keep doing it because we enjoy it. And as we graduated, it became more and more apparent that Asian Americans were connecting with us because they were seeing faces and characters that were familiar to them. And unfortunately, in mainstream media, that wasn't something that was so popular. So through YouTube, we were given a platform to show stories that were outside of the stereotypical norms. We were showing Asian Americans that spoke perfect English, that didn't know martial arts, that weren't necessarily good at mathematics, weren't doctors, weren't engineers, and faced everyday conflicts and problems like, I like this boy or girl, I don't know how to tell them, or I'm having problems with my family. Things that were just everyday to us, but for some reason we weren't seeing this in mainstream media. So I think a lot of Asian Americans could connect to our work that way. And around that time, when we graduated, because our work was being spread through high-speed internet, which was only available through universities at the time, that's kind of when we first were beginning to be invited to universities like this one and to share our stories. So that was back in 2006. So we've been around for a long time. We're definitely the old guys on YouTube. If you guys watch YouTube now, it's changed a lot. There's not much scripted narratives being told. So we're very proud that we can be still one of those groups. So I heard there's some commentary being made about today's social climate, and I think in order to understand the social climate, at least what I want to talk about is in the entertainment industry, because yes, I come from Los Angeles, California, Hollywood, but in a big sense, what we chose to do was very non-Hollywood. After we graduated from a biology school, studying visual arts at a biology school, no film school background, but we enjoyed making little short films. We were very much doing an uphill climb against Hollywood. And I think over the years, first things first, it's where we are now is better than we ever have been. Fresh Off the Boat is great. Master of None is great. All these shows, we're seeing more and more of a representative group on screens. But that's not to say that that's any reason to stop and want more, because we can't just be happy with one show that just picks one type of family dynamic, because that's not everyone. And if we get happy when we see, Rose Tico on the new Star Wars, and we say, great, we have one Asian in Star Wars, thank you, Hollywood. Like, that's not enough. We can't just be settled with this, because progress can't be made that way. Does that make sense? I mean, I was really happy when I saw that, but I mean, we have an action figure, that's cool. Growing up, it was, for me, it was Jackie Chan, and Jackie Chan, which was great. And the funny thing is, like, with these stereotypes, is a lot of them are actually, like, personally, like, if I knew martial arts, and if I was really good at math, I thought that'd be great, but I'm not. So we're actually reaching for a broader spectrum of Asian Americans in that representation. It's not that we don't want this one, it's we want a broad spectrum. We want to see all kinds of Asian Americans. And I think that can be said about any ethnic group. We just want it to be portrayed in the broadest spectrum. So yeah, Asian Americans, we want to be shown as multifaceted, not just what we've been seeing over and over again in Hollywood. So through Wongful Productions, through our short films online, we're trying to show, the range that we can be. So I talked a little bit about going against Hollywood, and I think culturally, Asians are taught to accept what we're being dealt and not to disrupt too much. And I think in a lot of ways, that's held us back. But it's up to us now to shatter the silence. And the best way to do that is to create your own opportunities. Because, like I said about the Hollywood films, if we keep waiting for these roles, they might be given to us, and they might not, and when they they might not be given in a way that's accurate to us. That story, it's created by someone else and it's given to us. It's much better if we create that story because we know it, we live it, right? So I encourage you guys to, if you're not seeing what you want to see, the change that you want to see, find ways to do it yourself. And it's not going to be easy, but at least you're going to be doing it, and you're going to be more passionate about it than anyone else will. That's guaranteed. I have an example of this. When we first graduated, we were a little naive and bright-eyed, and we wanted to create a feature film. This was back in 2008, and we wrote a script, me and Phil and Ted, and we shopped it around. We went to different studios in Hollywood, and we said, we have this film, we want to make it. And the sad reality was that we weren't getting much traction, and it was because we wanted an all-Asian American cast. The story itself was pretty universal, like all Wong Fu Productions work. It was about human relationships, but we thought, like, why does that have to be the one thing that holds us back? And it comes down to business. We understand that a lot, but what we realized is, okay, why are we going to Hollywood to try to sell this movie when we have millions of fans watching this on YouTube? Why don't we make stuff for them, the people that truly support us and that have been hungry for this content? Those are the people that we should be catering to first because they care about us the most. They care about the story the most. So back in 2008, we decided, we're going to hold off on this movie, and instead we're going to put all our energy and our efforts on YouTube towards those millions of fans, and it really paid off. During that time, I don't know if you guys watched then, but we did a lot of collaborations, and we found a community and network of people on YouTube, other Asian Americans, not just other filmmakers, but musicians, dancers, actors, artists in general that just were hungry to work together to show that this talent has always been there. It's just that now there's finally a platform for us to show it off. So do you guys know Kev Jumba, Ryan Higa, David Choi, Keena Granis? We're all good friends, and it's nice to know we came up almost as a graduating class together, and there's still progress to be made. But that's an example of when that opportunity isn't being handed to you, you have to find it for yourself. And I think that's a great, this whole event and the movement here is a great testament to that. So I want to congratulate you guys on that. Another thing I want to talk about is it's tough being Asian American because you're getting a lot of pressures. It's not just what you want to do. A lot of our parents are immigrants, and they came here so that we could have a better life, so that they could have a better life. And if we just think what is best for us, it does feel selfish. We get a lot of pressures from our parents. I think any Asian American will understand the 4 career pillars in their upbringing. It's either doctor, engineer, lawyer, or business. They'll see that the arts isn't one of those things. So when it is, it's few and far between. So I think I'm very lucky and very fortunate and very, very grateful to have pursued the arts, but it wasn't easy either. The funny thing about the arts is I feel like before college, Asian American parents really push their kids to go into arts and the creative stuff so that they can use those to get into the good colleges. But once we want to pursue it further, it's like, no, stop. Just focus on your studies, right? But there's really no reason why you can't keep those passions alive, even though you're pursuing, one of those 4 pillars. It's very important that you're still pursuing your passions because inherently we need to feed those things because that's what makes us happy. And I totally understand having a stable job, but it doesn't mean you have to give up entirely on the things that make you happy. So just to be a little bit more specific about ways that we can make a change for the Asian American community, there's almost like a certain ecosystem that I want to paint for you guys. And it involves the 3 C's. And usually Phil, my partner, he's usually the one that covers this topic, but I'm going to try my best to do it. The 3 C's. This is an ecosystem where we can really make change. It stands for creative, capital, and consumer. So creative, we need people to think of and spearhead the projects that we all want to see happen. Right? We want to see that movie, we want to see that book, that art installation. We need Asian American creatives to make this stuff, the ones with the ideas, right? But those creatives, in the end, are starving artists. How do we keep them from starving? They need capital. And this is where people that aren't interested in the arts, you know, if you're a businessman, if you're an accountant, dentist, doctor, if you're going into those fields, it doesn't mean that you can't help the movement. It doesn't mean that it doesn't involve you. If anything, you have money and you can fuel those starving artists to create those projects that you want to see. And that's where the capital comes in. The capital is the fuel that's going to fund all these projects. Wait, did I skip one? I skipped one. Did I say consumer? I'm so bad at this. You know, there's a reason why I don't do this part. Okay, creative, capital, and consumer. Okay, so consumer, that's everyone else, right? That's the masses. We as a community, we need to show interest in those projects, because if we're not the loudest, if Asian Americans aren't the loudest about those projects, then how are we going to make any difference? How will anyone ever notice? If you look at Hollywood, right? Every ticket sale, every box office number, opening weekend number, those numbers all public and recorded, and people pay attention to those, because if they make a blip on radar, then they're going to say, hey, this is something maybe worth doing again. So if there's an Asian American movie like Gook, Justin Chong's Gook, have any of you guys seen it? It's on Netflix now. It's really good. It's about the Asian American and like Asian American and Black intersection during the Rodney King protests, and it's a very touching movie, very artfully done. If Asian Americans aren't the most excited about that project, then we've already kind of missed our chance. So we need to be the loudest when those projects come about. Just to make a ripple in the Hollywood machine, we have to treat our view, our ticket, as a vote. Think about it as if it's as important as a vote. We need to vote for the things we really want to see move forward. And lastly, in terms of community, it's hard to encompass the whole Asian American community as one, not because we're not united.